Justice Thomas seemed interested in the origins of these universal injunctions.
General Sauer, these universal injunctions, as you say, have proliferated over the last 3 decades or so. Would you discuss, though, the origins of universal injunctions? In particular, I'm interested in sort of historical analogs or the historical pedigree, particularly the Bill of Peace that was proffered by respondents.
Yes, Justice Thomas. As you, I think, first pointed out in your separate opinion in Trump against Hawaii, the Bill of Peace is something very distinct from a universal injunction. So the Bill of Peace involved a resolution of a small, discrete set of claims of a small, discrete group, and even more fundamentally, it was binding on the members of that class and those represented by the class. So it's much more analogous to a modern class action under Rule 23.
The justices spent a lot of time considering something called a Bill of Peace, an English court practice from back in the 17th and 18th century. It allowed the English Court of Chancery to settle questions of rights from multiple parties into a single case. Today we have class actions to handle similar situations. And I believe Rule 23 is the primary rule governing class action suits.
General, when were the first universal injunctions used?
We believe that the best reading of that is what you said in Trump against Hawaii, which is that Wirtz in 1963 was really the first universal injunction. There's a dispute about Perkins against Lukens Oil going back to 1940. And of course, we point to the court's opinion that reversed that universal injunction issued by the D.C. Circuit and said it's profoundly wrong. The court has considered it and addressed this. It has consistently said you have to limit the remedy to the plaintiffs who appearing in court and complaining of that remedy.
So we survived until the 1960s without universal injunctions.
That's exactly correct. And in fact, those were very limited, very rare, even in the 1960s. It really exploded in 2007 in our cert petition in Summers against Earth Island Institute. We pointed out that the Ninth Circuit had started doing this in a whole bunch of cases involving environmental claims.
So if this nation survived until the 1960s without universal injunctions, why do we need them now? More importantly, what changed to authorize them? I think Justice Alito got right to the point.
So what do you say about the practical problem? So let's put out of our minds the merits of this and just look at the abstract question of universal injunctions. What is your response to what some people think is the practical problem? And the practical problem is that there are 680 district court judges, and they are dedicated and they are scholarly, and I'm not impugning their motives in any way, but sometimes they're wrong. And all Article III judges are vulnerable to an occupational disease, which is the disease of thinking that I am right and I can do whatever I want.
Isn't that the real problem? 680 district court judges, all of whom think they could not be wrong, and many of them willing to jump to conclusions about the merits of the case before even hearing them. Then, based solely on their assumptions about the case, issuing injunctions as if they were laws that needed to be followed. That, however, is not the only instance of judicial hubris exposed in this case.